So not all federal agencies are equal. Some are hated. Others are tolerated. And then you have some that are actually loved, if you can believe it. Now, if you're looking for a federal job or you're trying to jump into another agency, this information is important. There was a survey done last year that kind of shows what people think about different agencies. And we're going to break it all down, starting with the ones that are hated. So number 3 is the Department of Education. This agency receives a lot of hate. They look at it as government overreach. We've spent over $3 trillion, and where do our students rank globally? It's not in the top 10. It's around 15 or 16, depending on what metric you're using, but we're not ranked anywhere near the top. And it's a shame because we spend so much money. Not just that, but it's been accused multiple times of pushing woke ideology, shielding teachers that do not perform to the standard. It's like a shield. Teachers can perform below standard and the unions protect them. So there's a lot of pushback on that. What the Trump administration did when it comes to the education department pretty much made it a shell agency. So they started with 4,200 employees at the beginning of 2025. And today it's a 50% reduction at least. There are about 2,100 federal workers. Billions of dollars have been impounded from this agency. And there's dozens of lawsuits taking place right now. So it goes without saying that they're not really hiring. If you go on usajobs.gov, you're not going to find positions for the Department of Education. If you do, it might be 1 or 2 periodically, but it shouldn't be one of the agencies that you target for 2026. It just shouldn't be on your list. The next one is the Department of Justice. This is a powerful agency. You have the ATF, DEA, FBI, the U.S. Marshals. This agency, they can arrest you. They can arrest me. They can slap the cuffs on us and put us in a cage somewhere. So it's a little scary to think about. But the problem that the people have with this agency is it's constantly weaponized. So we saw it under the Biden administration. A lot of people claimed that the DOJ was weaponized against Trump and his allies. We're seeing it now because Trump is going after political opponents. And it's being It's been over 100 years. There's been claims of weaponization of the DOJ for over 100 years. And right now, if you go on USA Jobs, you will see that there's over 500 positions. So the Department of Justice is hiring, but mainly it's just one sub-agency, and that's the Bureau of Prisons, which just so happens to be one of the worst places that you could possibly work in the federal government. But they're doing hiring fairs all across the country each and every week trying to boost their numbers. And the real shame with this one is they had a retention bonus during President Biden, but they stripped it away when Trump came into office, which is crazy. As much as they want people in this agency, it seems like they're doing everything to push people away. All right, the next one is the IRS. And you know why this is hated? It's because they take your money. People look at it as theft. A lot of people do. I don't know if you do or not, but a lot of people look at it as theft. They look at it as they're taking so much money from my paycheck, and I'm not getting enough value for the money that I put in. That's one of the reasons. Now, this agency can also put you in jail. So that's kind of a theme, right? This agency throws you in jail if you're evading taxes, if you have tax fraud. But it's not so much the average person, like you and me. It's not us. It's mainly small business owners that deliberately commit fraud, or people that have a net worth of over $1 million. They could also find themselves in jail if they're doing the wrong thing. If you're making an innocent mistake, they're not going to do anything with you. But a lot of people don't like it. And the president's approach to IRS, because he knows a lot of his base, they don't like the IRS. He committed to having a year-long hiring freeze for the IRS. And it was real interesting if you followed along throughout 2025, because they ended up having a hiring surge. And they're trying to hire, but they were trying to hire more people for the call center because they were dramatically understaffed. They really squeezed out a lot of talent over in the IRS. Okay, so let's go ahead and make the shift towards agencies that people happen to love. Number 3 is NASA. People love NASA because of space exploration, because of discovering the unknown, the stars, the planets, the possibilities. They love NASA. Now, the crazy thing about NASA is if you look at how they're staffed, they have 14,000 federal workers. But You know how many contractors they have? They have like something 35,000, something close to 40,000 contractors. So you have a situation over there where you have 3 contractors for every 1 federal employee. What's happening under this administration? They're going to try to shift more, if you can imagine it, shift more into the private sector. Companies like SpaceX, other defense contractors. That is the focus. The next one is the USPS, the Postal Service. I was surprised to see this one on there because there's a term, when I was growing up at least, called going postal. Have you heard of that? 1980s, 1990s. They had postal workers that were committing violence at work. So much so, or it was so dramatic, they created that phrase, going postal. Oh, this guy's going postal. Watch out, he might go postal. But aside from that, the post office has been there for a while. The Postal Service delivering mail, they're reliable, right? For the most part. I'm not saying they're like FedEx or UPS, but they're reliable. They go out there when it's snowing, when it's raining. There was the whole postman's creed or whatever it is. They're going to deliver you your mail. There's stamp collectors. They love the stamps. It's part of the culture. That's why people like the post office. Now, the Postal Service, they just recently announced they're like super in debt because it's not like a regular federal agency. It's more structured like a private company type thing, but these individuals, they're still federal employees. And right now, you go on usps.com. That's where you would go instead of usajobs.gov. Most of the Postal Service jobs are on usps.com. There's over 100 positions. Most of them are rural carriers. So I even have family members that are carriers that deliver the mail. And, in rural areas where it's kind of slim pickings to get a decent job, this is a wonderful thing. The Postal Service can be a wonderful thing. And you can use an interagency agreement to go from the Postal Service into a more, conventional, regular federal agency on usajobs.gov because that's offered in a lot of agencies. So it's a way that you can break into the federal government. Now, the next one is the National Park Service. This one is because of beauty. Most people that go to a park, a national park, you're waking up in the morning with a good mentality, a good attitude. You're doing this on the weekend, on a vacation. That's when you're encountering the National Park Service. It's not like the IRS. People are fearful. They dread to hear those 3 letters, IRS. But you go out to Yellowstone, you go out to you go out to one of these beautiful national parks that we have in the country, Yosemite. You go out there, you're going to have a good time. You're going to take pictures of nature, of beauty. People like it. Now, the MPS, they have over 20,000 employees. A lot of these jobs are public facing, meaning you're interacting with the public. And this is huge for certain people looking for government jobs. They want to see that they're having an impact, that they're making a positive change. They want to talk to members of the public. And if you have to talk to members of the public, it's better to do it in the National Park Service than the SSA or the IRS or the VA. Because if you're talking to the public in the SSA, 9 times out of 10, they have a problem with you or they're angry at you. They're not going to be angry with you. Most of the time, they're not going to be angry with you in the MPS. Of course, you always have those people that, they're just sour apples no matter where you put them. They're just really upset. Now, this here is the chart that I use to put this list together, and it comes from Pew Research. If you are planning on getting a federal job in 2026, you need to make sure that you're focused on 3 main areas. The job needs to either be in national security, public safety, or immigration enforcement. By focusing on those 3 areas, you can circumvent, get around all the other stipulations with the hiring freeze and the executive order and the hiring committees and all that other nonsense. Just focus on those 3 areas. Really, it's 3 agencies: DOD, DHS, and the VA. You can put MPS in here. The National Park Services, they have a 0025, which is a park ranger, and they have a 0083, which is a police officer. Both of those positions, they would fall under public safety. So I think you're going to be fine if you wanted to focus on something like that. There are job openings right now. And people are always asking like, hey, is the government hiring? Is that still frozen? What's the deal? It's not technically, but the new executive order that replaced it, it essentially keeps everything the same. So they're only hiring for the positions I mentioned. For the most part, there are some exceptions. Now, also remember, the federal government recently changed to the 2-page resume. So if you are trying to throw your hat in the ring, so to speak, make sure that you convert your resume into the 2-page format. This is mainly for people that already are federal employees. If you're coming from the military or from the private sector, I mean, you should be fine. It should be less work for you to make a resume and to compete for some of these jobs. Now, in addition to this, we have some federal workers that are now being told that they have to take a test. They've been working their job for years, but now there's a test that's coming around to check to see if they have the right skills. Seems counterintuitive. Doesn't even seem like it makes sense, but it's happening. So if you want to know more about that, I want you to check this video out next. Stay updated by signing up to the free newsletter down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.